I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we could calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify, spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.
Okay. Only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
Grabbing the holidays by the boughs with Duluth. Step 1. Hire a mall Santa to handle snow removal.
Ho, ho, ho! My sciatica.
Step 2. Hit Duluth Trading and load up on fire hose pants, buck naked underwear, pocket pack bibs, free swinging flannel, and all kinds of ingenious gear you won't find anywhere else. Grab the holidays by the boughs and shop Duluth Trading. Online and in store.
Hey there, Duke fans, episode 770 of the DBR podcast, the Duke Basketball Roundup. We're flying a 770, a big old jetliner tonight. Actually, it's not nighttime. It's the morning. Anyway, it's Saturday morning. I'm Jason Evans. I'm joined by my buddy Donald Wine. Donald, tell the people where you are today. You are just a traveling fool.
Well, I didn't use any 770 to fly here. If you have a 770 plane, get off. Those don't exist. We have to wait a few more episodes for a 777, Jason, before we get to really fly here. But yeah, I'm in Philadelphia. Today, I am going to the U.S. men's soccer game, which is down in Chester. And I'm leaving that at halftime to go to the Villanova Duquesne game. Of course, as many of you know, I have a prior existing friendship with Jarrett Lewis, the father of Caden Lewis, who is now starting at Villanova. So I'm going to check him out. Play college basketball live for the first time, so I'm really excited about it.
That'll be a ton of fun. I've met your friend Jarrett when Caden was visiting Duke. I was there at the same time last year. I wish we could have gotten him, although it's sort of tough to see where he would fit on this roster and such. But Jarrett's a great guy, and I'm sure you'll have a fun time watching a kid that you've known your whole his whole lifetime for the most part. Playing at Villanova.
It'll be fun.
But we are not here to talk about recruits who did not pick Duke. We're here to talk about the Blue Devils game against Indiana State last night, Friday night fright for Indiana State as the Blue Devils win this game 100-62. Donald, we will begin, as we quite often do, with the headlines. And I will start with John Grantland, who I just said it. I sort of stole his headline. He said, Friday night frights after a slow start. Cam and Duke chop down the Sycamores. Donald, we got a lot of allusions to the Sycamore tree in the headlines, did we not?
We did. But I want to start with this one from Dave Jordan. Dave Jordan writes, Duke towers over Sycamores on the blocks as Devils steal a win. We are going to talk about steals and blocks, I'm sure, Jason.
Oh, we will extensively. Jim Blitch gave us Duke sequoias overshadow sycamore saplings in sawdusting of Indiana State. I like that one. Duke did indeed look like sequoias. The where size and length just dominated this game.
Jim Baumgartner had something similar. He used some alliteration both in the rhyming scheme, but also in the actual spelling. So he writes Cameron crazy over Cameron's sick prep for Kansas, and he spells Kansas with a C. Now that this game is out of the way, we can turn our attention to the Champions Classic with 2 more C's, Jason. So a lot of C's in that one.
Yeah, exactly. My last headlines from Jason Beer. Yet again, someone playing off this notion of the Sycamores as a big tree. He said the Devils trade their pitchforks for chainsaws and cut the Sycamores to mulch. I really like that one, Jason. Good job, man.
Jason, I think the best one of the bunch comes from Bobby Weinbarger, and his was Duke looks like Sherwin-Williams and makes a living in the paint. We will talk about paint points, I am sure, Jason.
What is brilliant.
Yeah.
I had that one on my list too, folks. Donald and I were coordinating beforehand. I let Donald take that one, but man, Sherwin-Williams, Duke dominating the paint, that was really, really well done. Let's get to the good. And Donald, should we discuss maybe how well the Duke big men did in this game? I'm going to tell you right now. If Cameron Boozer had wanted 50 points in that game, he could have scored 50 points. There's little question about it. I'm going to give you a little bit of what Cam did, and then Donald, I'll let you finish talking about our young man Boozer. 35 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. I would say that's filling up the box score. I dare say, I'm not certain. I don't think we've ever seen a line like that from any player in Duke history. I know that there are a grand total in the past 45 years. There are a grand total of 3 players who have scored 35 points and 10 rebounds. Cam Boozer, Zion Williamson, and Christian Laettner. Pretty elite company for Cam to be in there. And I will note that both Zion and Christian did not have 12 rebounds in there, like they had 10 and 11. So 35 and 12, unprecedented at Duke in the past 35 years.
Well, you mentioned it. There's another stat that they were flashing on the screen as well, and it was players from Duke in the last, I think, 30 years who have had 35 points, 3 blocks, and 3 steals, and that is Cameron Boozer, Zion Williamson, and Carlos Boozer, who was looking very snazzy. They showed a lot of Carlos Boozer in the stands. I will note, just off the tangent for a second, Carlos Boozer does not dress like other parents. He dresses like he just got off of the bench playing basketball. He has full Duke gear. He has the Duke hat. He is obviously like full Nike'd out. He's not sitting in the stands with some generic T-shirt and clapping. He is like, no, I went to Duke, and y'all know this, so I don't need to hide it, and I'm going to be right here. Sitting here watching my sons play, which I think is really cool.
So Cam's 35 points ties Jared McCain for the second most points ever by a freshman at Duke.
And Zion, because there's a 3-way tie now.
I thought Zion had more than 30. Zion had more than 35 in a game.
No, he had 35. McCain had 35. Cooper has 42.
Okay, you're right. Sorry, you're correct. Yes. I will go ahead and say right now, I think there is a very real chance that Cam will catch Cooper, that he'll have a game where he goes for more than 40 and he catches Cooper. He looks that dominant on the floor. By the way, it's worth noting he was 13 of this is super efficient. 35 on 13 of 16 shooting, and it should be noted. I noticed at least 2 of the 3 shots that he missed, he got his own rebound and put it back immediately. So basically, if Cam was going to go up and take a shot, Duke was scoring on that play every single time. It was a 100% play, I think.
It was 13 for 16. I think 2 of them he missed. He got to put back and put it in. The third one he got fouled, and that was the one time that he went to the line. I think the only thing that he was human at was at the line. He was 7 for 11. He had 1 trip where he went 0 for 2. I believe it was that 1 trip where he got his rebound and tried to go back up again. But again, efficiency was the key here. And when we needed to get out of the rut that we had, we'll talk about the slow start. It started with Cam and it ended with Cam. Like everyone, like he was involved in a lot of the offense. And like we said, 5 assists. This guy can pass the ball very, very well. One of the plays that he did early on where he gets the ball from Slim, basically a drop pass from Slim. And he just said, instead of going to the rim, oh, there's Big Pat like 2 feet in front of me, but just behind this defender. Let me just pop it over the top to him. So again, the court vision and the awareness of knowing when to go to the hole and also when to find his teammates, I think is great.
That was such a quick pass. It was such, like you say, such great court awareness and knowing your teammates and knowing what the defense was going to be doing. That was one of 7 nominations I had for play of the game.
Right. Well, there's only one that won, and we'll talk about
okay, yeah, we will. And you're right. There is one that won, but there's actually a second one that I'm going to talk about extensively. But yes, but in any event, that was a great play on a normal game. Huge play of the game contender. Not on this game because this game was so ridiculous. But I wanted to mention about Cam. We're almost getting lost. The 3 blocks and the 3 steals, and I want to transition us to the defense. Come on, Duke had 13 blocks and 13 steals in this game.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I mean, talk about
forced 18 turnovers.
Yeah. Talk about disruptive. Yeah, by the way, the turnovers at one point in the second half, Indiana State was just throwing the ball into the stands because they were like, I don't know what to do. These guys are too long. They're too big. I'm just throwing it over here. Maybe someone will get it. Oh, well.
It was a safer play than anything they could have done on the court.
Exactly right. If we go to the stands, at least they won't get a fast break. Oh my gosh. The defense, the deflections, the steals. Unbelievable. Duke is just disruptive. It's just the bottom line. The Duke defense, we are disruptive. Our block percentage, Donald, in this game. Did you see our block percentage?
No.
So here's how block percentage is calculated. Take the number of times you block a shot. Take the number of 2-point field goals a team attempts because they don't consider 3-pointers in block percentage, even though Duke blocked a 3-pointer in this game. But
right.
So Duke's block percentage was 42%. That's when
42%.
That's 42%.
That's amazing.
So I'm not sure if you noticed, but Indiana State shot 42% on the game. When they win a first shot, it was as likely to get blocked as it was to go in. Are you kidding me? They could not get past our length. There was nothing they could do for the most part, other than the first, like 5 minutes when they went on. And congrats. This was like, and it's worth noting, Indiana State is a fairly decent, mid-major kind of team. This is a team that came into this game ranked, in the, 150s or so. So they're not a total patsy. They have size. They have a ton of experience. It was all juniors and seniors out there playing against us. And there was just very, very little they could get that worked for them at all on offense against that impressive Duke defense.
I mean, they shot 36% from the floor. If a team is shooting 36% from 3, you're like, okay, that's, we're doing our job here. They shot 36% from the floor, and the blocks were coming from everywhere. Even if we got beat on defense, we were coming from behind and getting blocks. The amount of close out or close down blocks from behind that we had from Pat, from Malik, from Slim, like that, again, were momentum builders. If you get in a bigger game, if you're like, oh, I beat my guy, I'm going to the basket, I'm getting these 2 points. Where is the ball? Why is the ball going 15 feet into the stands? Like that is a crusher for a team when they're on offense, because then they go, where am I safe on this court from them? And that's why I said in the second half, it felt like the best play for them sometimes was to just throw the ball away and just get back on defense, because they knew that they couldn't get inside and they knew they couldn't finish unless they had some backdoor pass, which was working in that first 5 minutes. But then for most of the rest of the game, it was largely ineffective.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the fact that Duke adjusts so well. One of the hallmarks I think that we're seeing of John Shire, and we saw this some last year as well, is like the halftime adjustments, the in-game adjustments that he's able to make to this team. Donald, in the preview, I mentioned Camp Wagner. He was the first player I mentioned on the Indiana State team. I was like, this guy can really shoot. And he hit a couple big threes to give them that 10-point lead that they got early on in this game. Camp Wagner had 11 points in the first half and was quite effective at finding his shot. Donald, do you know what he did in the second half? Duke came into halftime. I'm sure that the coaches said, hey, that guy, he was number 8. They're like, that guy number 8? The guy that's been hitting all those 3 points, let's make sure that he doesn't do that anymore. In the second half, he went 0 for 4, scored 0 points. Duke adjusted pretty nicely to that guy going off against them early. And then the last note I wanted to mention on the defense was, and this isn't, the stats, we don't have deflections in the stats. We don't have terrifying play where they're almost happened to steal. That's not a stat. But if you're an opposing team, like if you're a scout and you're looking at Duke and you're like, okay, what am I going to be able to accomplish? What do I need to look out for and the such? What do you do when Malik Brown and Dame Sarr are in the game together? What, it's just scary how much those guys get their hands on balls. And it's not always a steal. It's not always a block, but it's always disruptive. I don't know what Duke put Dame on the opposing point guard again in this game. And that kid was like, I've got, forget it. Someone else take the ball. So please take the ball from me because I can't do anything against this guy. When you have guys that are that long, have that good defensive instincts, I love Patrick Gongba, but when Malik Brown is in the game, the degree to which Duke is able to make the other team uncomfortable on defense, especially if Dame Sarr is also in there. Like, I just don't know what you attack when Duke has those two guys in the game. I don't know how you get into an offense other than a scramble offense because they put you in scramble mode.
I will also say the scary part was there was a point in this game, especially in the second half, and I was texting my best friend. I was at a soccer event, so I was kind of following on my phone and watching later, but there was a point where he goes, our all trash talk team is in. And I was like, oh, I know who that is. That's Slim. That's Pat. That's CFOS. That's Dame Sarr. And that's Cam. And I was like, and he's like, and they're just destroying people because the idea is on defense, they're suffocating, right? It's sort of Malik Brown not being in the game. You have your four guys who can suffocate the ball. And then at the same time, they're telling you about it. Like, oh man, you can't get a shot off all day. Like, that's not good. Like, oh, that shot was weak. Get that out of here. And we're getting steals, we're getting blocks, we're getting deflections, and we're going the other way. And those are our guys that get out on the flank and score quickly, right? Whether it's through a three or through a dunk. And then they'll tell you about it coming back down, like, hey, did you see that? We're about to do that again. Like, the idea that we have this trash talk team that can come in and in a good way, right? Like, influence the game and really psych the other team out and get them out of sorts, that also helps with everything. Because when other guys check in, they're just like, oh, see, now Malik's coming in the game. Now I got to deal with this. Now I got to deal with the deflections. Oh, now, Nick's coming in. Now I got to deal with just the relentlessness that he has going around the floor. Like, those sort of things, we have something for every team to get them out of sorts. And when that happens, we've got them. And I think the great thing is our offense was at times outpacing our defense, and our defense was still holding a team to 36% from the floor.
How many teams in the country are there where Caleb Foster would be the third best defender on the team?
Right.
That's not a long list. Oh boy. I want to mention the size very quickly. By the way, we were talking about Malik Brown a moment ago. Malik was robbed of at least 4 points where he had dunk putbacks where the ref had called a foul. And but otherwise, Malik was getting a dunk putback. So Malik should have had an even bigger offensive game than he did. He only had 6 points, but he should have had 10. Our size. Now, Indiana State is not small, Donald. This is a big Indiana State team. As I mentioned, they're very experienced. They got guys who are 6'8", 6'10", 220, 250, just rolling guy after guy out there. And Duke crushed them on the boards, 48-27. I mean, that's just an ass whooping, Donald. Just another way for it. That was an ass whooping on the boards. We outscored them. Points in the paint were 54-26 Blue Devils. We outscored them by 28 points in the paint, Donald. That's a lot. Second chance points, 23-5. 23-5? Look, they have big 250-pound dudes. And Cameron Boozer was bouncing those guys like they were balls in a pinball machine. It was ridiculous. There's one play where he crushed their big center. He bumped into the guy. The guy kind of crumpled to the, he crumpled over a little bit. I was like, that guy's going to walk off the court crying, isn't he? He's about to cry.
Well, the second chance points, Jason, I know why that stat is so skewed is because we got 48.5% of all rebounds that we missed. Our offensive rebounding rate was 48.5%. It's 16 offensive rebounds. And again, I kind of will talk about a little bit in the bad, but like the idea that we are going to not stop until we get points on almost every single possession, that is what's going to make this team good.
Let's get to a couple players. We obviously already mentioned Cameron Boozer, and we've thrown in some little stuff about some other guys, but I want to specifically shout out Cephas. He took 12 shots in this game. I had said in the preview, I was like, I'm looking, I want a game where Cephas is a little more aggressive offensively. Now he wasn't great. He blew a layup that was just like, what the hell happened here? How did he miss this? It would have been one more assist for Cam. I think Cam had the pass in that play.
Yep.
Would have been one more assist for Cam, but he just completely blew that layup. But I like seeing Cephas hunting his shot a little bit more. He also missed by way of wide open three that I was like, dude, you're going to knock that down, aren't you? But again, I think that Duke is more dangerous when Cephas is willing to get to the rim the way he was. And I like that he was our second leading scorer with 14 points. I want to mention, do you got anything in Cephas?
No, I thought Cephas again was a little bit more aggressive. And now, again, this is where we take the good and the bad, right? Like sometimes that's going to be, it's not going to be as successful or as efficient, but we want that aggression because I think it fuels a lot of what the team does. And, to have 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, like if we're talking about that in the negative, then we need to reassess our priorities because that's a really good stat line, considering that, again, he was out of sorts for some parts of the first half. You mentioned a couple of bunnies that he missed, but he was right in there. And then the defense obviously doesn't reflect on the stat line, and we saw what he could do there.
I want to talk about the bench production really quick. Nick Hemenia had a really nice game, I thought. He comes really close to a 10-5-5. Nick had a 9-6-5. Oh, dude, one more point. Just late in the game there. Just get one more point. And Nick, by the way, Nick Hemenia led Duke in plus minus with a plus 33. I'm not sure if you noticed this, Donald. He was functionally running the point.
Running the point. In the second half.
A pretty good bit of the time in the second half there. Yeah. And I mean, we kind of needed him too, because I thought Caden Boozer, after two really nice games in a row, Caden came back down to earth a bit more in this game. It was okay, but just, Caden only had 1 assist in this contest. He took the ball to the basket a couple times and was, struggled to finish a little bit at the rim. But Nick had a very, very nice game. I want to shout out Darren Harris. If you need to get to 100, folks, if you want 100, Darren Harris is your man. He will come in there in the final few minutes and just rain down a couple 3-pointers. This is what Darren does. I kind of wish Darren had gotten in there a little bit more earlier. He had a couple nice looks when he was part of the regular rotation. They just didn't get down, and then late in the game he was bringing the rain as he quite often does. And then I wanted to mention Big Pat. 9 points, 8 rebounds, 4 blocks. He had a little sequence where I think he blocked like 2 shots in a row.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, very effective in keeping them away from the rim. Only takes 6 shots in this game, but hits 4 of them. He missed his only 3-pointer, so he was functionally 4 of 5 at the rim. A lot of them were dunks, where his teammates found him. Had a couple nice assists. It's tough because Malik Brown is so damn valuable, but I like that Pat is still very, very much involved. And I don't know I'm not sure what Duke does with those big man minutes, because I feel like, Pat only played 21 minutes. I feel like he should get more. But Malik only played, less than 17. He needs to play. Can we, is there a way we play both those guys together? But if we play both those guys together, Cam probably isn't. I don't know. This is an embarrassment of riches, Donald.
Well, I think in that you got to kind of, when you look at the stat lines of both Pat and Malik, you kind of combine them, right? Because you want a team that's going to be efficient in the paint on offense and just lethal on defense. And between the two of them, like if you combine their stat line, that 5 spot, man, it had a great night. And then you could even throw in Efi, who came in for a few minutes. So that's why their numbers, their minutes numbers are down a little bit, because we're blowing teams out to the point where, Efi and Jack and Cam Sheffield can come in and get 4 minutes every single game. So we're going to have a lot of guys here that have this opportunity. But I will say, going back to the stats lines, the stats game, this is why 10-5-5s are so difficult. we had like 6 guys that were like 1 or 2 statistical categories away from a 10.55, yet only one person achieved it. It's just how difficult this thing is. But the fact that, again, just to bring it full circle, that Cam had 35 and 12 with 5 assists and 3 blocks and 3 steals. I'm like, well, I mean, damn, man, like save some, like if he doesn't get a rebound and Big Pat does, or he gets 2 rebounds, Big Pat gets the 10.55, right? Or he's at 9 points. Like there are like little things here where you're like, okay, one guy has a huge stat line and all these other guys have almost great stat lines, but they're just one shy. And that's just how cool this team has been so far this year, is that they're obviously, they're really together. I've seen that on the floor. And the fact that one guy is getting all these, huge statistical achievements doesn't matter to them because they're having fun out there. And I think that's the cool thing about this, is that they're having fun.
Well, yeah, it's easy to have fun when you win 100-62.
Yeah, it sure is. Let's keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly. A big game against Kansas coming. I don't think we're going to be beating Kansas by 38, but I wouldn't mind. I'll take it.
I would not mind, but it'll be a much difficult game for sure.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the things that need improvement, otherwise known as the bad. Duke had another slow start. It was 14-4 in the first 4 minutes or so. I thought we were very, very sloppy on. They scored the 14 points. As I mentioned, Camp Wagner was going off and hitting 35-foot 3-pointers. But what bothered me the most about the slow start was the sloppiness on offense. Duke had 3 turnovers on their first 5 or 6 possessions. It was not the way you want a team to start out the game. Obviously, we righted the ship quite nicely, but we're making kind of a habit out of this now, Donald. And I wouldn't mind if we could maybe figure out a way to not come out of the locker room as poorly, frankly, as we have virtually every game this season.
Yeah, that is again what's going to creep up on us, especially against better teams. Like you can't come out. We saw that last year when I was in Vegas, right? Like we had a slow start against Kansas, and we almost overcame it. We came down to the final possession, but you look back at the game and you wish you had that first 3 minutes back, because if you take out that first 3 minutes, we're beating them by 14 as opposed to losing by 2 or 3. So
it was 13-2 or something. It was really bad.
It was very quick too. And so this one was a little bit more of a slower burn. Like we got to the TV timeout and you looked up, you're like, it's 14-4. And then we rattled off a 10-point run to get back into it. And then we had another 10-point run, another 10-point run. We had multiple. But I think, again, we shouldn't be relying on that to get there. I think the other thing, Jason, about the efficiency, you mentioned the points at the rim and how you want against these teams to make it where you're, at the rim, you're getting 80-90% of your shots. We're missing too many of these bunnies. Now, it helps that we have a Cam Boozer or a Big Pat to hold down the offensive rebound and put it back in or go to the line, but you want to make them the first time. You want that number to always be high, because if you're getting a trip and you're getting a clean look 1 foot from the basket, you might as well put me in there if you're going to miss it, because I can do that. Your job is to make it as a team. So the fact that we're missing too many bunnies, again, a small detail that can come back and bite them if they don't correct it. But again, we don't want to rely on the strengths, over-rely on the strengths that we have, which is offensive rebounding, because if that goes cold and you're missing these bunnies, those are going to be lost trips, lost possessions, lost points that you're going to wish you had back at the end.
The other thing I have in the needs improvement is Isaiah Evans. By the way, he threw a lob 6 feet over Dame Sarr's head, and John Shire could not have gotten him out of the game quicker. It was it was kind of funny. It was instantaneous. But Isaiah, he had a poor game for Slim. 3 turnovers, just 2 of 8 shooting, scores only 5 points in a game that Duke wins by 48.
48,
sorry.
Yeah, 38.
38, you're right. My bad. Duke wins by 38. Virtually everyone on this team has plus minuses in the 20s and 30s. Isaiah's plus minus was just +4. He did not have a good game. And we know better games are ahead, and he was still playing hard. He had some block shots, and he was playing hard on defense. And that's what you want to see from him. And he was taking the ball to the rim, although he wasn't super effective at finishing it there. Against better teams, Duke is going to need Isaiah to be significantly better than he was today. or
The
yesterday, I should say.
the last thing I have to improve, again, I don't think it's a thing that is a trend, but obviously we want to nip it in the bud where we can, is free throws. We were 14 for 21 from the line. 66.7% is fine, right? You want that to be closer to 75 to 80%, but 67% is fine. My issue with it is we had a couple of trips where we went 0 for 2. And those are the things that we need to clean up. You don't want to go 0 for 2. You don't want to miss the front end of 1-and-1s because that's effectively an 0 for 2. Those are the little things, again, that down the stretch we're going to need free throws, and we have been so far this season when we need to make free throws, we are hitting them. But you don't want to lapse into the ability, especially at home, of missing free throws. Especially, again, easy points. You take the easy points, so you take the easy wins. So if we're up to 75, 80%, that's a good number. 67% is fine. It's just the way we got to 67% that is something that needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, no disagreement. All right, let's get to the play of the game. Donald, why don't you go first?
There was one, I'm blanking on what this play was. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Cam Boozer steals the ball. He dribbles behind the back to put the spin cycle on some defender. And then the defender said, you know what? I'm done with this play. I'm going to let you do your thing. And he has the slam on the other end on the fast break. An incredible play, Jason. I think we got like 3 emails almost immediately after that play to people saying that was a play of the game. I don't care what you say the rest of the game. I don't care what happens. That was it. And they proved to be right. Usually we don't read those emails during the game. Luckily, I read them this morning. I was like, yo, those people proved to be right. Cameron Boozer, take a bow.
Yes, that was the play of the game. That said, I do want to shout out another play that I was like, oh, this is going to be my play of the game until Cam went behind the back. And with 13:40 left in the first half, Duke was down a point. It was 14 to 13. I think it was 14 to 16 to 15, whatever it was. Duke was down 1 point. We had not had the lead in this game. And Nick Hemenia, the guy that he was guarding, took a 3 from the corner. Now, the second that ball hit the rim, Nick Hemenia realized 2 things. The first one was he saw where the rebound was going and he knew he was nowhere close to it. The other thing Nick Hemenia realized, now, again, he was guarding a guy who was in the corner. So it wasn't like Nick was up top, but Nick recognized Cam Boozer is getting this rebound and no one from Indiana State is getting back on defense fast enough. And Nick took off like a bat out of hell. And the second Cam grabs the rebound, he turns and fires it ahead. They talked all game about he is Kevin Love-like with his outlet passes. Fired it ahead to Nick, who got a wide open dunk. Nick knew I'm not getting the rebound. Nick knew Cam's getting the rebound. Nick knew Cam's going to find me. I'm getting a dunk here. I thought it was such a smart play on both of their parts. Again, I urge folks, it's at 13:40 left in the first half. Go back and watch that play if you've got this game on tape and just see the way Nick sees everything happening and recognizes what his teammate is going to be able to do if Nick hustles in that moment. And of course, his teammate, Cam Boozer, such great court awareness. We've talked and I got to stop talking about how much he does everything great. But I just saw that play and I was just like, and by the way, it's a play that gave Duke the lead. Now, we gave up that lead and then we took it back. But at the moment, I was like, we're never trailing again in this game.
There was also, there's a myriad of plays, right? But there was a few involving Pat and Malik that I thought were great, including one where Pat found Malik like as a behind the back pass for a dunk after I think either a block or a steal on the other end. It was a great sequence, but there was a lot of great individual plays in this game, individual moments. None outshine Cam, but again, if you look at the individual play, like the highlights package for the top 5 that Duke Blue Planet puts out, I know they had a difficult time doing 2 through 4. 1 was easy. But 2 through 4, they probably had to go back and forth about which ones they were going to include.
It's the weekend. Duke has played their 2 games. We need to pick a player of the week. I'm going to go ahead and say the guy that had 50 points, 21 rebounds, 9 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks is probably the player of the week. What do you think?
Yeah, Cam Boozer did that. He's going to be my player of the week. But Jason, I do have an honorable mention. It's YouTube TV for bringing ESPN back during the game. Like, And they said, "Hey, this is done." And I was like, "Oh," I told my dad, "Oh yeah, this is cool. We got it back." He's like, "Oh, when will we actually get, the channels back?" I was like, "Probably tomorrow during football." And then I turned it on. I was like, "Oh, never mind. You can watch this game right now." And he's like, "Thank you, thank you, YouTube TV."
I like it. I like it. We're going to take a quick break. You may be like, what else could they possibly have to talk about? Here's what else we got to talk about. Another one.
Another one.
Another one.
This episode is brought to you by Disney. This Thanksgiving, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are back on the big screen. So grab your family and friends as Disney invites you to return to Zootopia for the phenomenal movie event of the holiday season. See all your favorite Zootopia characters plus new favorites in the most pawsome movie of the year. Don't miss Disney Zootopia 2 when it hits theaters everywhere November 26th. Get your tickets now.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
All right, we're back from the break. We are done talking about basketball games. We're going to talk about basketball recruiting for a moment. And we're not going to go into a lot of depth on this because on the preview that we issued just a couple days ago, the preview of the Indiana State game, we also spoke about the possibility that Duke would get a commitment from the top power forward in the high school class, Cameron Williams. And in fact, that is what happened. Cam Williams announced that he will be attending the University of Duke. I haven't, you don't hear it referred to that way very often. I think he did that. He goes, I'll be attending the University of Duke. I think he did it that way because he wanted to make people think he might say University of Arizona or University of Texas, because those are the other finalists. He was doing this at his high school, which is in Arizona. By the way, it's notable that when he announced Duke, I didn't hear a single sigh or boo or anything. I'm sure there are plenty of Arizona fans in that crowd, but it was just, the crowd just went wild. Because folks obviously just super excited for a guy, coming to Durham, to the top, the most visible program in the country. I'll let you get in 1 second. I just want to, there are a couple of things that as I was looking more into Cam Williams, that I wanted to mention about him. I talked about his face-up game, that he's primarily going to be a guy who plays offense facing the basket. He's big. He's 6'11", but he's not going to be a guy like Cameron Boozer, who parks himself in the post at times. That's just not his game. Don't expect him to play power forward the same kind of way that Cam Boozer or Paulo Banchero played power forward. He's going to be much more on the perimeter. In fact, I found out that in Adidas AAU play, he played on the elite Adidas circuit. In AAU play this summer, he was 50% on catch and shoot three-pointers. That's a big number, and I think he's going to be out there on the perimeter doing a lot of catch and shoot for Duke next year. He compares himself. I thought this was very interesting. Cam Williams compares himself to Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's one of the better power forwards in the NBA. Evan Mobley currently averaging 19 and 9 with 4 assists per game, 1.4 block shots per game, and he's a pretty good 3-point shooter. Okay, I'll take that.
Sure.
Got no problem if you want to bring that to town, Cameron Williams.
He will need the cookout diet to get to Evan Mobley's width.
Yes, for sure. You got anything else on the latest 5-star signing by John Shire?
No, this is great. I think, again, shout out to the coaching staff. Shout out to Evan Brads. We mentioned that he was the lead recruiter. I believe this is the first 5-star that he has secured as the lead recruiter as a part of this staff, which I think is terrific. Again, from top to bottom,
John Shire has made this incredible. So I'm really, really happy for him.
Donald, I also wanted to really quickly shout out a Blue Devil in the NBA. We're not going to get into the full, there'll be time that we'll get into the full NBA stuff, but Kon Knueppel returned home to Milwaukee last night. I'm sure his parents, I can't even imagine how many ticket requests he had for this game against the Bucks. So with family, friends, probably everyone he went to high school with in the stands. Kon went for 32 points, a career high. He also had 3 assists and 3 steals. He was raining 3-pointers down. He had a great game. The Athletic recently published a list of the top rookies in the NBA, and Kon Knueppel was their number 1 rookie in the league. Cooper's struggling a little bit. He's playing great, but that Dallas team is just kind of in a terrible state of flux. And at the moment, I think there's no argument. But by the way, if you watch like Kon's highlights, you're like, how is this guy torching the NBA? He just doesn't look, and he's doing a lot of it by going to the basket. His ability just to play off the 2 feet there and like figure out, okay, I'm not gonna be able to get to the rim, so I'll stop here and take an 8-foot jumper. Oh wait, I am gonna be able to get to the rim because they think I'm gonna stop and take an 8-foot jumper. Kon just it is remarkable how well he has adjusted to playing at the next level. There's not another level up, by the way, Kon. You're already there. This is the highest, and you're dominating it. Way to go, buddy.
Well, look, I mean, a great game. He's had a great start to the season. And Jason, just think this, it's Saturday, November 15th. First of all, one anniversary to note. This is the day on 2011 that Coach K became the all-time winningest Division I men's basketball coach on this day in 2011. But I will say this, a year ago today, Jason, we were like, hey, this Kon Knueppel guy might be pretty good. And a year later, he's not only really good, he's not only a top 4 pick in the NBA draft, he's dominating in the NBA right now. I think that's tremendous for him to that trajectory. And again, it was probably just when Sherry was on, his mom was on the pod, she was like, yeah, he saw all these people saying, oh, well, this guy's only like top 40. He's probably not going to do much. And he was like, noted. Okay, let me just go out and prove them wrong. So I'm here to say, Kon Knueppel, you stink. You're terrible. You should just continue playing this way in the NBA because there's no future for you, man. There's no way you're going to be on the USA basketball team in 2020 if you keep this up. So if this is the motivation you need, keep it going, buddy.
Dude, 2028 may be a little soon. We'll see. All right, last thing I wanted to mention. This is a kind of a crazy situation. The Duke women were playing West Virginia, and Jordan Wood, one of the Duke big women, I don't know what you'd call it. Jordan Wood's tall. Jordan Wood, just as the half is about to end in this game at West Virginia, she blocks a shot, a 3-pointer, just as time is expiring. And frankly, Jordan strutted a little bit over the smaller guard whose shot she had blocked. The West Virginia player responded to that by giving a big push to Jordan. Jordan responded by pushing back a little bit. The benches emptied. At least the West Virginia bench emptied. Like every player on their bench ran out onto the floor to be a part of this scrum. There weren't punches thrown or anything like that. It was
like a baseball when the bench is clear and they just kind of come out and everyone kind of is trying to separate the 2 people involved, but it just becomes a scrum of people trying to separate each other.
Yeah, and it didn't look like that bad of a situation. But the West Virginia bench emptied. And in college basketball, there is a definitive rule. If you leave the bench, for anything other than checking into the game officially, you're disqualified. So there were 5 players on the floor for West Virginia when this all started. Those 5 players were the only players allowed to play the rest of the game because everyone else on the bench hopped up, ran onto the court, and got disqualified. So it was 5 West Virginia players against the entire Duke team. And it was halftime. And those 5 players came out of halftime fired up. I mean, they just blitzed Duke in the third quarter. They outscored the Blue Devils 24-9. Those 5 players were like, they had the fire in their eyes, and West Virginia went on to win this game 57-49. The Duke women, who started out the season looking like they were a for sure top 10 team. They're only 2-2 on the year. They've struggled a little bit. Their offense is really struggling. They got to figure out a way to right the ship a little bit. But that was an emotional and really, really interesting game. Playing 5-on-9 or whatever West Virginia was, they found a way to dig deep, and they got very, very fired up, and they won that contest. It's not a bad loss. West Virginia's undefeated. They're not a great team, but they're a decent team. But Duke needs to figure some things out.
Yeah, the offense has not been there, and Jason, unfortunately, of course, when there's controversy or when there's a fight or something like that, that's going to get you towards the top of SportsCenter. The only reason why I didn't lead SportsCenter is because Kon Knueppel had 32 points in his homecoming. That led SportsCenter, but this was second. And I think the offense has to get it together and have it. This was last year too, when we had some losses. There was points where we would go, scoreless in a quarter, or like score only 2 points. And the other team goes on a run, and it's harder to come back from that when you're in a kind of a game where there's a lot more possession. So a lot of opportunities for people to score in their quarters. I think the offense has to figure out a way to be consistent in its application throughout the entire game, every game. And I know that's a hard stretch. They have a even more difficult schedule coming up. I mean, playing at Greenbrier in West Virginia was essentially a semi road game. It's as close to a road game as you can possibly get without being on their campus. But now they're going to have some bigger games coming up. They're going to Vegas at the end of next week to play South Carolina, to play UCLA or Texas. They're playing LSU. They have some games coming up, and they need to figure out how to keep that offense going, because those teams will turn it into a real bad game if they don't. So it's early in the season. They're playing a tough schedule. The schedule is responding in kind, but this is, again, what Kara Lawson wanted, just like John Shire wanted. They want these situations because in March they'll be more ready than they are right now.
With that, we're going to wrap it up here on the latest edition of the Duke Basketball Roundup. Jason and Donald here for you on episode 770. Check your feed. We'll be back in that feed with a preview of the Kansas game very, very soon. We will also be recapping the Duke football game against Virginia, which has not happened yet. We are wrapping this up before that game happens on Saturday. Until then, that's Donald. I'm Jason. This is the Duke Band playing us out and taking us home.
Kay Jewelers' early Black Friday sale is happening now. Get up to 50% off Black Friday deals and up to 40% off everything else. Don't miss this sale. Start your season with savings, only at Kay. Exclusions apply. See Kay.com/exclusions for details.